morning. I hope all is well in your world. I'm going to show you three slabs right here. I've got an old ASA slab, a GAI, Global Authentication slab. If you really want an interesting read, go find out about them. They've got a pretty interesting past. And of course, we've got the old Beckett slab there. And the reason I'm showing you those cards is because I was rewatching a video that I edited from a couple weeks ago. And it was a mail day video. And as I was watching it, I noticed that this card right here, as I unboxed it, had a scratch on the left side. This card right here, this is my 1988 Michael Jordan Fleer card. I've had this card since the early 90s. And it's something where it was really upsetting to me. I thought everything would come back great. I was optimistic that PSA wouldn't mess me over. And that's exactly what happened. And so that's fine. For those of you that know me, I'm an optimist. I'm a glass half full guy. And so what I did was I started thinking, what would our life be like in the hobby without PSA? And I want you to think of three things. I want you to think of standardization. I want you to think of population. And of course, I want you to think of liquidity. And those three things I'm going to touch on today. So the first one, standardization. If you think about back in the day, what we would do is we would go and we would put that card in with PSA, or we would put that card in with Beckett back in the 90s or the early 2000s, and we'd have to find them at a show. We would have to go and fill out a form, hand our cards over, and that was it. Then magically they would appear, you know, how many months later. We don't know where they went. We don't know who graded them, all those sorts of things. Today, you can go into GameStop, you can go online, you can just fill something out, mail it off. You know exactly when they receive it. You know exactly the process they are, even though it takes forever. And then you know what your card's going to look like in the grade before you even get it back. So I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about the stabilization that they have given us. That scale of authentication, that scale of 1 to 10, where we can use that no matter where we go in the collecting world. So forget about sports cards for a second. Think about TCG. Think about comic books. Think about non-sports. Think about oddball. They encapsulate almost all of that. And the nice thing is we can go and look at that scale. And for sure, if you're a seasoned collector, you know that you can go and look at that 1 to 10, and you know the difference between a 2 and a 3. 3 is getting okay, a 5, which is getting a lot better. And then, of course, getting up into the 8, 9s, and 10s, and usually what constitutes a Gen Mint 10. For most of us, we can probably pick that out. And so I want you to think about that standardization that PSA gives us. I had to while I was going through my doldrums of the 88 Fleer Jordan, and I had to really think, okay, yeah, I'm upset, but there's a lot of things that that company did for me to get this thing graded. And at the end of the day, it came back a 9 instead of an 8, which is what I thought it would be. And I'm going to make more money from it if I sell it. So just think about that one for a second. The second one, population. If you watch my videos, you know that I love the population reports. And sometimes, yes, I know I can get a little bit more intricate and a little bit into the numbers, but I want you to use it as a generalization piece. In general, if I know that I'm looking at, say, this Frank Thomas card, I'm going to pull it out right here. When we would go buy these in the 90s, we would see it in the dealer showcase, and the Frank Thomas, he would sell it to us, and then, of course, there was another one that they would just pull out and put in there. You never knew how many there were. Looking it up this morning, there's almost 25,000 of these that exist. And so that population report has become really important to give you an idea of how many exist. I'm going to show you a second card. This is actually a 2015 Cracker Jack Jimmy Walsh card. It's an old GAI slab. When I bought this, it was just a cool looking vintage card. I had no idea what it was or how many there are. We don't see these up in Canada all that much, even today. And so it was interesting where this morning I went and looked it up again. There's 122 of these that have been graded total across all the grading companies. And so I know that there are a lot of set collectors out there. And I know this card, there's under 200 of them if I generalize it. So the next time you decide to think, oh, population reports, oh, it's just numbers, they change the numbers, people cross over, they do all those things, that's fine. But if you use it as a generalization, it's not too bad, and it's a really nice tool to give you an idea, especially in the vintage world where we have cards sometimes that are really, really low pop. I mean, when I go to Strongsville next week, I'm hoping to meet up with somebody that I've got a tentative deal with for a Mellow Mint caramel card. Really looking forward to that, and hopefully it comes through. By the way, if you see me at Strongsville, please come up and say hi. I'd love to chat. And I will be at the YouTube Friday night thing at our hotel. But anyways, so I know that card, there's 10, 15 of them. That pop report is super important to let me know that. Okay, so population report, it's a big deal, and I'm going to cross over hands here. Here's the third one. It's the one we all know about, and it's liquidity. So these two cards right here, this is my 1987 Leaf Greg Maddux card, Gem Mint 10, PSA, and then I've got my 1986 Pittsfield minor league card for Maddux as well. So the PSA card in this red flip right here, that is going to be insanely easy to sell. No problem there. In fact, it's so good that I'll probably be asking 90% for it, and I'll get it. So I'm bringing it to Strongsville. I'm going to pedal it around, see what I can do with it. But the interesting thing is, if not, I'm going to take that, and I've got a consignor here online that sells it and gives 85% of what it's worth. And that's pretty good. That slab, I can do that. But this one right here, this Beckett 9.5, it's the same grade. It's a little OC, so I probably wouldn't be a PSA 10, but it's still a fantastic card. That card's going to be harder for me to sell. And I want you to think, how many of you have had cards in the past where you've sold it in a PSA slab, maybe you didn't even notice it, but the card sold no problem. That's something that I think a lot of us always have to remember. So when I'm looking at this whole entire process that I went through my brain with this, okay, PSA, yeah, it's a downer that I have that slab and it's scratched, and now I got to go through that whole process of replacing it and all of that. That's fine, or I can sell it for a little bit less and somebody else can take care of it. That was an important card for me. It came from my childhood, and it's a card that was disappointing. But in terms of flipping my mind, I had to really think. Stabilization. It went from an 8 from an 8 to a 9. And so that's pretty awesome. I knew that as soon as I got that grade back, it was going to be a little bit more money in my pocket and a nicer card for the slab. Okay. The pop report. Yeah, I know there's tons of them, so that's what gives me pause. Do I sell it? There's lots of them out there, or do I go through the nostalgic piece that it is mine and I've had it for such a long time? And then, of course, there's the liquidity. Easy card to get rid of. That's a card that I can sell for 100%, no problem. So the one piece that I came to in terms of my conclusion is this. PSA gives us a foundation. It gives us a real easy point to build our house on. If you think of the hobby as a big, huge house, that foundation gives us the way to be able to stop there and ebb and flow any way we want. So we can get upset if we want, we can not care, we can care about a PSA 10 and pay for it, or we can go for a 9, an 8, a 7. We can take where that grading system allows us to go from different companies, and we pretty much have an idea of what an 8 or a 9 is, or at least, oh, an SGC 7 is probably a PSA 6 or a 5 even, depending on the scale. And so we all understand that. It really gives us that foundation. And I want you to think about that next time you decide to rain on their parade a little bit. You know, there are other ways that we can look at it where things are a little bit better. So that foundation is important, and I'm going to leave you with this. There's the old saying, it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And on a beautiful sunny morning like this, where the sun's up and the lake is there, that's just something I want you to think about. If you have any comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. I'll certainly respond from I can. Hopefully I'll see some of you at Strongsville. I'm really looking forward to it. And until then, take care, and I'll see you down the road.